The rain tapped softly against the window, a steady rhythm in the quiet room. The dim lamp cast long shadows, flickering as if uncertain. Nathan sat at his desk, gripping the edge, his breath uneven. The thoughts, dark, unwanted, relentless, had returned. No matter how much he pushed them away, they slithered back, whispering in his mind. "Stop," he muttered, clenching his fists. But they laughed. They always laughed. For months, he had tried everything: meditation, prayer, drowning himself in work. Nothing silenced the voice that painted images he wished he could unsee. The guilt ate at him like acid. He wasn't this person. He couldn't be. Then the letter arrived, a single envelope slipped under his door. No name, no address, just 3 words on the front, written in shaky ink: "I know everything." Nathan's heart pounded. His hands trembled as he tore it open. The paper inside was simple, typed: 1 sentence. "Meet me at the abandoned chapel. Midnight, come alone." A cold dread crept into his bones. Who knew? How much did they know? And worst of all, what would happen if he went? Nathan's fingers tightened around the letter. His throat felt dry. Who sent this? What did they know? He glanced at the clock. 11:42 p.m. If he was going, he had to leave now. The storm outside had worsened. Thunder rumbled like distant growls, and the wind howled through the empty streets. The abandoned chapel stood on the edge of town, forgotten, its once white walls now stained with time and neglect. As he approached, a faint light flickered inside. Someone was already there, his pulse hammered in his ears. He stepped in cautiously. The scent of damp wood and old stone filled his nose. Then he saw her. A woman in a long black coat stood by the altar, her back to him. Her voice was calm, almost too calm. "You came." Nathan swallowed hard. "Who are you?" She turned slowly, her face partially hidden by shadows, but her eyes cold, knowing, pierced through the dim light. "You're here because you want to stop the thoughts, don't?" His breath hitched. How did she know? The woman took a step forward. "I can help you, but first, you must tell me everything." Nathan hesitated. Could he trust her? Or was this a trap? Something about her felt wrong. Then, from the dark corners of the chapel, he heard movement, footsteps. He was not alone with her. His instincts screamed, "Run!" Nathan's chest tightened. His eyes darted to the shadows. Something was there. Someone watching. He stepped back, his heartbeat pounding like a drum. "Who else is here?" The woman smiled, slow and deliberate. "You're not ready for that answer yet." A shiver crawled down his spine. He needed to leave. He was trapped. The woman's voice was softer now, almost soothing. "You can't run from this, Nathan. The thoughts won't stop until you face them." His head shook violently. "You don't know anything about me?" She tilted her head. "Don't I?" She reached into her coat and pulled out a small black notebook. Nathan's stomach dropped. It was his dot, the one he had thrown away. The one where he had written everything. His fears, his obsessions, the thoughts he wanted to erase. How did she have it? She flipped through the pages, her voice a whisper. You want to stop the darkness? First, you have to understand where it comes from. Nathan's skin burned with panic. Where did you get that? She stepped closer. You left a door open, Nathan, and something walked through. Behind him, the footsteps in the dark grew louder. Closer, a breath brushed against his ear. It's already inside you. Nathan's blood turned to ice. It's already inside you. The words slithered into his mind like smoke, curling around his thoughts, choking them. His breath came in short, sharp gasps. No, this wasn't real. He spun around. Fists clenched, nothing. Just shadows stretching in the dim candlelight. But the footsteps, he had heard them, felt them. The woman's voice was closer now. Too close. Nathan staggered back, shaking his head. You're lying. You're trying to mess with me? She only smiled, flipping another page in the notebook. Then she read aloud. Sometimes I wonder what it would feel like to let go, to stop fighting, to let the darkness take over. Nathan's stomach dropped. He had written that, but no one had seen it. He had destroyed the notebook, hadn't he? His body tensed as the air shifted, thickening with something unseen. Something. Waiting. The candlelight flickered violently. The shadows on the walls twisted, moving in ways they shouldn't. Then, from behind him, a whisper low and guttural. Let us in. Nathan's vision blurred. His body felt wrong, heavy. The woman took another step, her eyes glowing with something ancient. The thoughts weren't yours, Nathan. She tilted her head, smiling. They were ours. The room lurched. The shadows surged forward. Nathan opened his mouth to scream. Darkness swallowed him whole. Nathan's scream never left his throat. The darkness pulled him under, thick and suffocating, pressing against his skin like unseen hands. His body convulsed, his mind spiraling into a void where time no longer existed. He was drowning, but not in water, in something far worse than silence. He opened his eyes. He was no longer in the chapel. He stood in a long, endless hallway. The walls pulsed like living flesh, veins crawling across their surface. A dim, flickering light stretched into infinity. Something was waiting at the end. A voice, his own, whispered from the shadows. You don't escape thoughts like these, Nathan. You feed them. You become them. A mirror appeared in front of him. His reflection was wrong. His face was twisted, his eyes black pits of endless hunger. The thing in the mirror grinned. Let us take control, and we will set you free. Nathan backed away, his pulse hammering. No, he wasn't like this. He wasn't this, but the voice. In his head, the one that had always whispered, always lurked, was laughing now. The hallway shrank. The walls pulsed faster, closing in. Nathan had one choice: give in or fight. Then the woman's voice echoed, distant but clear. If you want to stop this, Nathan, you know what you have to do. His hands clenched. He knew. But did he have the strength? Nathan took a deep breath. The walls pressed in. The darkness whispered, but he stood his ground. No, he whispered. Then louder, no way, trembled. The shadows recoiled. The voice inside him shrieked in fury, but Nathan refused to listen. he was not his thoughts. He was not his fears. A warmth bloomed in his chest, a light, small at first, then growing, spreading through every part of him. It shattered the darkness, dissolving the whispers, breaking the chains that had held him for so long. When he opened his eyes, he was back in his room. The rain had stopped, the air was still, and for the first time in a long time, so was his mind. Darkness may knock, but it does not own you. You are not your thoughts. You are the choices you make.